Ryuk, you have to understand that this situation is becoming quite precarious. Anyone who touches the Death Note gains the ability to see your terrifying form, and that is a massive problem for my security. I cannot simply walk around with a supernatural entity following me like a shadow without consequences.
I suppose you are right, Light. You certainly cannot pass me off as a normal human friend or an average schoolmate. My appearance is a bit much for your world, isn't it? I don't think you came to this desolate place just to enjoy the gloomy, dark ambience.
Exactly. If my sister or any other member of my family were to catch even a brief glimpse of your face, they would likely have a heart attack on the spot. I need to ensure that the Death Note is hidden where no one will ever accidentally find it.
As the fire of ambition burns within Light Yagami, the battle of wits between the self-proclaimed god and the world's greatest detective begins to intensify. The current state of affairs is a delicate balance of hidden identities and strategic moves played out in the shadows of Tokyo.
From the estimated time of the victims' deaths, I previously informed the task force that there was a very strong possibility that Kira was a student. The schedule of the killings lined up perfectly with school hours, suggesting a routine that was far too specific to be a coincidence.
And then, as if he were mocking my deduction, the very next day Kira eliminated 23 prisoners at intervals of exactly 1 hour. He did the same thing again the following day, completely shattering the initial profile I had carefully built regarding his daily routine and social status.
Does that mean he actually managed to dupe me? Until then, I was convinced that Kira was setting the time of death to lead me to the conclusion that the perpetrator was a student. It seems he is much more capable of manipulation than I had originally anticipated.
What is Kira's real aim in letting me know that he can control the time of death? Is he trying to show off his power, or is there a deeper strategy involved? The bigger issue is that Kira has some way of obtaining information that should be known only to the task force.
I have to do something about the fact that police information is leaking to Kira. If he can see our every move, we are at a severe disadvantage. Watari, it is me. Please leave the task force office for a moment. I need you to go somewhere else.
Go to a location where the police cannot see or hear you, and establish a secure link with the director of the FBI. We need to investigate the people involved in this case from the outside, beyond the reach of the Japanese National Police Agency's current internal surveillance. I need some very specific items for my plan. This home improvement store should have everything required to build a hiding place that no one will ever find. I want to hide the Death Note in my room where I can easily access it and put it back safely. If L wants to catch Kira, he will need a confession from me or the physical evidence of the Death Note itself. By now, L is likely starting to suspect the people involved in the investigation. He will look at every detail, so I must stay several steps ahead.
You seem quite confident, Light, but why did you deliberately make him realize you were a student? Isn't it a lot worse to have him realize you have a link to the cops? Now he's going to have the FBI breathing down the necks of everyone in the department.
Remember what I told you about human beings, Ryuk. They are foolish, two-faced creatures. In human society, there are very few people who truly trust each other. By showing L that I have access to police records, I am sowing the seeds of distrust within the investigation itself. L will use the NPA to look for me, but when that happens, it will just be a matter of time before the police get really mad at him. I want to find L and eliminate him. If all goes well, I can hide the book and let them destroy themselves. On the face of it, L and the police are working together to catch me. However, behind the scenes, L will be spying on the police to find the leak. I am positive that the one who is going to have the police closing in on him first is L, not Kira. The police will take care of that part for me. They will track down L because they won't stand for being investigated by an outsider. Once L is forced into the open to defend his actions, that is when I will finally be able to eliminate him.
What the hell is this? Exactly what it says, a letter of resignation. This is the Special Investigation Headquarters, and my men are quitting.
They are terrified that Kira will find out their identities and kill them just like he did with those criminals on the televised news. But why? Why now? You're either putting me on another case, sir, or I leave the NPA. If I can't do that, I value my life too much to stay here. According to Elle's reasoning, Kira uses some paranormal means to kill people without having any direct contact with them. If I were Kira, I'd try to get rid of the people who were trying to catch me, because if we catch him, he gets the death sentence. It is a logical survival instinct. These men have families and lives they want to protect from an invisible, supernatural killer. Remember that time he pulled the stunt with the televised broadcast? Elle dared Kira to kill him on live television, and Kira took the bait. He wanted to know if photographs or footage showing their faces were included in the reports, because he needs a face to kill. But Elle never announced his name or even showed his face in that broadcast. In other words, unlike Elle, we all do our work carrying police IDs with our real names and photographs right there on them. We are sitting ducks for someone with Kira's unknown lethal abilities. Well, they were right. Every single victim so far was someone whose face was shown in the Japanese media reports. Kira could get us any time, and that's why we're requesting a transfer, sir. We cannot continue this investigation under these suicidal conditions without any protection.
So they're sitting ducks while Elle just leaves Watari here and talks to us through his computer. They're right when you think about it. The pressure is mounting and the cracks in the police force are beginning to widen, just as Kira had intended from the very start.
That was easier than I thought it would be. You managed to hide the notebook? Yep. Does that count as a hiding place? It's hidden inside this drawer, Ryuk, but it is not just sitting there. It is protected by a mechanism that only I know how to navigate. I can just keep the key in there. It's better to hide it in some obvious-looking place like this. Most people would probably just read this diary with its boring descriptions of what I do every day and think that's what I was keeping under lock and key. But that's not the Death Note. It's just a plain old diary. On the underside of the drawer is a tiny hole that you wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it. You stick the ink cartridge of a ballpoint pen into the hole to trigger the secret latch.
I get it now. The drawer has a false bottom. This is why you spent so much time at that store, picking out a board and matching the wood grain. Even if they suspect the drawer has a false bottom, they'll never be able to just lift it out.
With that diary as a decoy, and this, they'll find the notebook. The ink cartridge is plastic, so it doesn't conduct electricity. Unless you stick it in here, a current will pass through this and ignite the gasoline in this thin plastic bag. It's a failsafe. In other words, unless you open it exactly like this, when I close the false bottom, this rubber here goes between the metal pieces, so it replaces the ink cartridge as the insulator, and the current stays interrupted. It is a perfect circuit that only my pen can break. If they question why I went to all this trouble, I just have to say that was my real diary, and I didn't want anyone to see it. That's the most human of reasons, and there will be the remains of a notebook in there, after all. Everything will burn.
The notebook goes up in flames and all the evidence is completely destroyed. If you turn the drawer over or force the cover open, the moment you do that, I'd heard that when humans get hold of a death note, it becomes their #1 headache. You're different, Light. Still, talk about playing with fire, Light. If you make even a little mistake opening this, you'll burn yourself really bad. I'd hardly call this playing, Ryuk. And anyway, each of those risks actually helped make me safer in the long run. I've been playing with fire from the start.
Taking all kinds of risks is what keeps me sharp. What's better, having a small fire in the house or getting the death penalty? Huh? The choice is obvious to me. I will do whatever it takes to protect my secret and continue my work as Kira.
Yes, that's right. I'm requesting that you conduct a thorough, top-secret probe of all NPA personnel involved in the Kira case, as well as their close friends and families. The number of American criminals believed to be Kira's victims is 327. That's by far the most worldwide. But we're already putting a lot of manpower into this case. Are you suggesting one of them may be Kira? Yes. In fact, I'm sure of it. And please do the best you can. We have to stop Kira as soon as we can. All right, we'll do as you ask.
The person in possession of the Death Note is possessed by a god of death, its original owner, until they die. If a human uses the note, a god of death usually appears in front of him or her within 39 days after he or she uses the note for the first time. Gods of death, the original owners of the Death Note, do not do, in principle, anything which will help or prevent the deaths in the note. A god of death has no obligation to completely explain how to use the note, or rules which will apply to the human owner.